All right, I want you to write down two things for me. I want you to write down success is a choice, and then I want you to write down that accountability is a myth. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to go to the whiteboard. I'm going to start drawing pictures for you. That's for you, Clarissa. And we're going to talk about these two concepts. And I'm going to share with you the most basic, simple strategy for you to achieve whatever real estate goal you may have. And this works in other areas of your life as well. It's not just real estate. Break anything that you want to do down into a list of daily activities, and then just simply follow the plan, and success is a choice. All right, let's start with this. With the average real estate agent looks at real estate, you have a lead in your database. The lead closes today. The value of that lead, if your average commission is $10,000. Now, the very next day, the value of that same lead is, let's just say it's zero. Now, the average homeowner in the United States moves every 7 to 10 years. And somewhere in this process, a homeowner is going to respond to an email, postcard, or something they got in the mail or something they saw online. And they just want to know what the value of their home is, or they want to know what the home down the street sold for. So they click on a website, they ask for more information, and we've got a lead. And the real estate agent answers the phone, they talk to the seller, and they find out the seller's only been in their home for maybe 2 or 3 years, maybe 4 years, and they would consider that a bad lead. And the lead would go in the garbage, because the real estate agent considered it a bad lead. Now, that same person responds to a mailer they got, and it's here. In other words, they're 3 months out from buying another home or from selling their home, and that same real estate agent would say, awesome, that is a great lead. And I would tell you they're both the same. This lead and this lead are both the same. Matter of fact, they're both worth $10,000, but we are throwing leads away because we are judging them as good leads or bad leads based on how soon that person wants to buy or sell, versus putting that person in our database and systematically following up with them over time. Now, I want you to take that same idea and I want you to look at it this way. So we've got this line, everything to the right of this is transaction management. We have this line over here, and everything to the left of it is lead generation. Now, same conversation, you're lead generating, or you get a lead from the marketing that you're doing or from a mailer that you sent out, and that comes in through lead generation. You talk to that person, and they're 3 months, 6 months, a year away from buying or selling a home. And what we do is we put that person in this giant space in the middle, which is follow-up. I'm going to slow down because this is where success happens. I was talking to one of my coaching clients yesterday, and she shared with me that she has lots of leads. I said, awesome. She says, leads are not my problem, John. I said, okay, talk to me. What is your challenge? And she went on to share how many homes she was selling every month, and the two didn't match. In other words, she has lots of leads, but she's not selling a lot of homes every month. And I asked her, okay, if leads are not your challenge and you're selling blank number of homes every month, what is your challenge? And she said it's follow-up. I said, all right, what's your challenge with follow-up? She says, I'm not consistent with my follow-up. All right, so I want you to write another word down. The word is system. In order for you to be successful in this space right here, you need a system to do that. You cannot use a spreadsheet. You cannot use a spiral notebook with everybody's name written down. You can't use Post-it notes all over your office. You're going to need a system for this. And you're going to systematically follow up. My recommendation is once a week for the first 4 weeks. We're creating top of mind. When that person thinks of real estate, I want them to think of me. Let's go back to this diagram, and we got this lead. Now they're 2 or 3 years away from buying or selling a home, and we're going to put them in our database, and we're going to systematically follow up with them. And in that first 4 weeks, we are creating top of mind. We want them to think of us when they think of real estate. If you ask me to name a soda, it's Diet Coke. I want you to be the Diet Coke of real estate. So we're creating top of mind by systematically following up with that person once a week for the first 4 weeks. Now, after the first 4 weeks, then it's going to be once every other week for the next 8 weeks. So now we're 3 months in on our follow-up plan. And we followed up once a week for the first 4 weeks, once every other week for the next 2 months. And then after that, it's once a month. Now, this line over here, this represents emotional proximity, meaning that when I get serious about selling my home, and you've created emotional proximity, which means you're close to me, you're going to be my only choice when I choose to list my home, simply because you did a great job in follow-up, because you stayed in touch. Now, the other thing I want to point out here is there's nothing you're going to do to change this person's mind until they get here, until they're ready, until they're serious. There's nothing you can say or do that's going to cause them to buy quicker or to sell quicker. People won't change their mind, but they will make a new decision based on new information. Please write that down. Now, you might also hear when you're in this follow-up system, you might get no, 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 never. You don't need to call me anymore because I'm not going to hire you. I've already got a real estate agent. And this is where understanding that you're going to follow up systematically forever, because you reject rejection, because no is not a word that lives in your vocabulary. No simply means not yet. People will never change their mind, but they will make a new decision based on new information. And because you're following up forever, you're getting no, 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 never, don't call me. And then you call this day and they're like, I'm glad you called. I was just thinking that I need to find a real estate agent to sell this house. And you've created opportunity because you've conquered this. All right, there's another way I want you to look at your real estate business. Same conversation, just a different diagram. So you have 3 buckets of lead generation. Bucket, bucket, bucket. You have prospecting, which is calling for sell by owners and expireds. It's circle prospecting around a property that just sold. It's going out and knocking on doors. It's prospecting. You have another bucket, which is marketing. In prospecting, you are proactively going out and looking for buyers and sellers. In marketing, you are attracting people to you who want to buy or sell a home. And then the last bucket of opportunity is repeat and referral business. This is your database. That's your SOI, your past clients, your building relationships in order to create future business. And in each one of these, your goal, your job description every day is to have 20 conversations, 10 conversations, 5 conversations, whatever your number is, it's a standard, hit it. And if mine is 20 times 250 is 5,000 conversations in a year. Now I'm communicating through prospecting. I'm responding to incoming leads that I get through marketing. And I am systematically communicating with everybody in my database once a quarter, 4 times a year, in order to create repeat and referral business. Now, anytime I talk to someone who is potentially interested in selling their home, in other words, it's a for sale by owner, notice your home is for sale. I'd love to stop by and take a look at it. If I had an offer, would you want me to bring you the offer? Seller says, sure, bring me an offer. You schedule the appointment, you go. You're creating opportunity that you're putting into your pipeline. I don't know if that looks like a pipeline or not, but it is. You're creating opportunity that you're putting into your pipeline. You get an incoming marketing lead. They're looking for properties. You ask them questions. Tell me about the home you're looking for. What does it look like? Where are you buying? What's your price range? You're asking questions to qualify, and you schedule a buyer consultation, or you don't because they're not ready. It doesn't mean it's a bad lead. It's still an opportunity that goes into your pipeline. You talk to your database and you ask, hey, by the way, if you knew of somebody who was going to buy or sell a home, would you refer them to me? Yes, awesome. Who do you know? And they say, well, Sally Jones, she lives next door. Cool. You call Sally, you talk to Sally, she's in your pipeline. Now, the other standard that I'm going to have every single day is I'm going to put at least one new person in this group. I'm not stopping until I find a new opportunity. It's 20 conversations and one new opportunity in my pipeline, whichever comes last. Which means in 250 days, I have 250 people in my pipeline. Now let's go back to the previous diagram. I have 250 people who are in follow-up, and I am systematically following up with them. I have a system that I follow that tells me when to call, how often to call, how long it's been since I've had the last conversation, and I'm just checking in until we get here. And we've created emotional proximity. And because we've created emotional proximity, a percentage of that 250 people that are in your database will choose to work with you. Now, here's the question that I have for you. What if that percentage was just 20%? Wouldn't that be 50 closed sales at the end of the year? How would you feel about that? How many of you, if you knew, hey, here's a plan, follow it, how many of you knew that if you followed this plan, it would lead to 50 closed sales at the end of the year, would say, I'm in, sign me up? Thanks, Beth, I see your hand. And how many of you are doing that? And then the next question is, why not? Now, remember what I said when I started. I said that success is a choice. Success is a choice when you focus on the activities and not the results. You control the activities. 20 conversations a day, 1 appointment booked, 5 handwritten personal notes. Activities. At the end of the day, I choose whether or not I succeed. Now, part of that is follow-up. I've got all these follow-up calls that show up in my database because I put them there, and the database is systematically telling me how often to follow up with them. It's once a week for the first 4 weeks. It's once every other week for the next 2 months. And then it's once a month after that. And I am just simply checking boxes and hitting those activities. They're standards, they're not goals. You choose whether or not you hit your daily activities. Nobody can stop you, and you will never fail as long as you commit to hitting those daily activities. Now, if your goal is to take 2 or 3 or 4 seller listings every month, let's make it 4, okay? Well, in order to take 4 seller listings a month, I probably need to go on 2 listing appointments a week if I have a 50% conversion ratio in order to get 4 seller listings at the end of the month. Now, do you control that? Not really, not always. But however, if you do the activities every single day and you stop judging where you are today based on what your goal is, success will show up. Now, it may not show up next month or the month after that, but let me ask you another goal. If your goal was to list 4 homes a month, and 6 months into the year, you should be at 24 seller listings, and you're not. You're at a number less than 24. And then in the third quarter of the year, in the fourth quarter of the year, you list 6 to 8 homes every single month. The end of the year, you've taken 48 seller listings. Did you fail? No, you didn't fail. But if you looked at where you were on month 6 and you said, I should be at 24 and I'm only at 12, I'm 50% of my goal, I suck. Maybe not. At the end of the year, if you have 48 listings, you still hit your goal, didn't you? And so many of us put the brakes on because we don't see the results that we want. And my whole point here is focus on the activities, not the results, and the results will show up. Focus on the activities, not the results, and the results will show up. All right, accountability is a myth. There is no one that can hold you accountable to this. You are the only one who can hold you accountable to this. Now, you can hire me as a coach, and I will work with you, and I will be your partner side by side with you in the trenches in order to help you get where you want to go. But this whole thing that I'm going to call you and I'm going to check in with you and say, okay, how many calls did you make? How many people did you talk to? You didn't hit your numbers. What's the penalty going to be? That ain't going to work. You've got to hold yourself accountable to those standards that you set. Nobody else can do it. All right, talk to me.
Yeah, good morning. I put my question already in the chat box. So this is exactly what I'm working on and what I wanted to talk with you on Friday. So meanwhile, I have learned what to do. But right now, I'm also in the situation, I have a lot of leads and I'm looking for a system. So how exactly is your listing? Because I just don't know how I can make it systematic.
Well, Lonnie, there's a couple answers to that question. So there's a lot of different databases, CRMs that exist in the real estate space. kvCORE is one.
I work with kvCORE, but it's really, so how do I get my leads in the system that I know? So these are the ones I have to call weekly. These are the ones I have to call once a month. So what is your system? Is it paper? Is it on the computer?
Yeah, okay. So it's got to be a database because there's too many people to track on paper. All right. Now I'm going to create a follow-up plan based on who I'm speaking to. So if it's somebody that's in my database, for example, that's that repeat and referral box. Okay. I'm going to create a 24 touch system or a 36 touch system or 48 touch system. It's up to you. Don't overthink this. And 12 emails a year, text messages, snail mail, at least 2 or 3 times a year. I'm sending them market updates via mail. I'm also sending out greeting cards around holidays, and you're going to create this in your database, and your database is going to tell you, hey, it's time to send out a holiday card to everybody, all of your SOIs and all of your past clients, and you're simply going to pull that list and you're going to send out a holiday card to everybody in that list. And you're not going to pull it, you're going to click a button, and everybody that's going to get that holiday card is going to come up on your database. I also recommend that you don't have to do this. This is something that you can leverage to someone else and pay somebody else to do it for you. The most important part of that plan is going to be the quarterly phone calls. So your database is going to tell you when to call everybody in your SOI and everybody in your past clients in order to communicate with them once every quarter. All right. If you had 240 SOI past clients in your database, And that's 240 contacts once per quarter. Then it's going to divide 240 by 60 working days. What is that? Whatever it is, it is. I'm not doing math in my head right now. Now, if it's an expired listing or a for sale by owner, Lonnie, or a circle prospecting lead, or an incoming lead from marketing that I'm doing, any lead that is going to buy a home or sell a home sometime in the future, it's always the same plan. It's once a week for 4 weeks. I'm going to call them once every other week for the next 2 months, and then once a month after that. And those calls are just check-in calls. Hey, Lonnie, John Dietz following up as promised, checking in to see how you are. Is there anything I can do for you today? Really it. Now you can send them market updates, you can send postcards on just sold and just listed, and you could do all of that those other things that you want to do, but it's those phone calls that make the difference. You create the plan in your database. Now another system that's really good for this is Follow Up Boss. There's others, and if kvCORE isn't doing it for you, then I'd look at another database that would do it for you. You know, the answer to what database should I use is whichever one you'll use.
Yeah. So I have kvCORE, but kvCORE has its own mind, and they do things that I don't want them to do, and I can't stop it. But they don't do the things that I want them to do. So therefore, I really need the system. So and I will check out Follow Up Boss.
Yeah, and if that's not the right one, find another one. I promise you, there is a system that will work for you, and that's the one you should use.
Okay.
How do you create a market update? So a market update is data, and it's how many homes went on the market in the last 60 days, how many homes went under contract, how many homes closed, what's the average days on market in the local market that you work currently, what's the average list price to sell price ratio in the market that you're in currently, and how all of these numbers compare to the same time last year. I always want to look at a year-over-year comparison so that I can see trends. Trends tell us where the market is going and if we're paying attention, Mary Lou. Okay, you guys are loving this chat. You're gonna write questions and I'm gonna answer them. That's good. Does it matter if you follow up with texts or phone calls? Boy, Angel, that's a good one. So everybody under the age of 40, raise your hand. And we love text messaging, don't we? You know, your phone rings and you look at your phone and you're like, why is somebody calling me on my texting device? And I'm not making fun of you. Please don't get mad at me. You can do both. I really want you to make the calls though. I really do. I know you're going to get voicemail. Don't let that be a myth that you buy into. They're not answering, so they don't want to talk to me. How do you know? And who cares? Just keep calling. Okay, I'm just going to knock these questions out. Do you create it on your own, kvCORE or MLS? So Mary Lou, the answer is you create it on your own. Now there's a number of resources that will create this information for you, like oh boy, I forget the name of it. Keeping Current Matters. Did I get that right? That's one. But I would rather do the work myself because this is part of becoming a local economist of choice. I'm studying the market, and the more I study the market, the more I become the local economist of choice. So I want to create it on my own. Angela, does it depend? Yeah, of course, it depends. But I still don't want you to get to a point where it's just text messages. Even if it's somebody who prefers to communicate by text, still wants you to call them. It's only once a month. And don't feel like you're being a pest. And here's another thing you guys do. You don't do things because you don't like it when people do those things to you. In other words, you don't call people because you don't like it when you get those calls. So what? Who cares? Make the call. Okay. All right, guys, I hope you got great value today.